take them beyond what they understand of the world and help them laugh when things are tough, like now. Make no mistake, empathy is not weak or woke. And by the way, woke just means you give a damn about other people. Back to empathy. A whole lot of people are going to be really hurt by what is happening, what is coming our way. And even if they're of a different political persuasion, we need to call upon our empathy and not judge, but listen from our hearts and welcome them into our tent, because we are going to need a big tent to resist successfully what's coming at us. Have any of you ever watched a documentary of one of the great social movements, like apartheid or our civil rights movement or Stonewall, and asked yourself, would you have been brave enough to walk the bridge? Would you have been able to take the hoses and the batons and the dogs? We don't have to wonder anymore, because we are in our documentary moment.
In this round, here's Charles Big Angry Adams.
All right, Quanell, that was Jane Fonda speech that's getting a tremendous amount of media and social media attention. She got a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Screen Actors Guild, kind of this self-congratulatory circle jerk of the Hollywood award season, where she was up there on stage telling everyone in the audience how important it was for them to build a bigger, more inclusive tent, which I like that message, Quanell. I like the message of people, hey, we don't need to shove people that we disagree with politically, but then she goes too far. And what you see a lot in America now and across the world is this effort to draw this false equivalency between what the alleged oppression of the day and the very real, very horrifying oppression of yesteryear. And it rings a bit hollow for me, for someone listening to it from Jane Fonda, the daughter of an incredibly famous movie star who came to her own fame at the height of the incestuousness of Hollywood, where everybody was related to everybody. She has a history, married it for a while to the world's richest man, Ted Turner. She has lived her life with bodyguards, behind walls, in mansions, right? While she's sitting up there lecturing us on how we need to be worried about the oppression that is probably coming, Quanell. They're going to go too crazy with this deportation stuff. They're going to ramp back up the war on drugs, not just on fentanyl, but on stuff like weed. I am sure the pendulum's going to swing way too far one way. But she's saying all this, and she's talking to Democrats who have been telling us to not worry about us for the last 2 decades, to not worry about crime, to not worry about our own welfare, our own economic liberty. And when you look at the end game, when you look at the fascist progressive left, you look at Europe right now, where German police are storming into people's homes for memes, right? Where the United Kingdom is banging on people's doors for comments that people might have misinterpreted on Facebook, where American journalists are saying horrifying things like, oh yeah, free speech contributed to or led to the Holocaust. It's all insane. And when you hear it from these super rich Hollywood types about how we need to care more and have more empathy, shut up, how much you care about us? How much you care about the life of the everyday working American? Because I'll tell you what, Jane Fonda didn't give a damn. She didn't give a damn now. She didn't give a damn when she was taking the sides of the communists in Vietnam. And I was against the Vietnam War. I was a baby, but I'm against war generally. But it's one thing to be against a war. It's another thing completely to go support the enemy of this country and the people that are slaughtering people over there. Hanoi, Jane, I think it's absurd. I don't want to hear it.
As a black man, I am not truly profoundly interested in what the hell is going on in Germany about free speech.
Okay.
I'm not concerned about what's taking place in Europe, where white folks are fighting white folks
coming here
in Europe. And now America is so divided by the Trump administration, and even before his administration, America was still divided. We as black people have to ask ourselves the question, why should we truly be concerned about a fight that has nothing to do with us? If conservative white people are ready to go to war with liberal white people, and liberal white people are ready to go to war with conservative white people, why should we as black people get involved in that fight at all? Let them both fight each other and slay each other. Then we as black people step in, pick up the pieces, and go to work to make a better nation in God's name. Because whenever black people fight each other, the liberal white man nor the conservative white man gets in the middle to try to stop that fight. So they don't mind us slaying each other. They don't mind us committing acts of heinous behavior toward each other. So why should we be captured and caught up in some very wealthy white woman, Miss Fonda, and how she feels from a liberal perspective? Minister Malcolm X warned us about liberal white people. And let me tell you the difference. She talked about that big tent. She spoke about the tent. We all need to stay inside the tent. Well, black people were never allowed to come on the inside of that tent. And if we did go on the inside, we were the butlers, caretakers, and cooks inside that tent. Liberal white people like this, Miss Fonda, she believes in her mind that when we're outside the tent that we helped erect, when we're outside the tent parking cars or cutting the grass or serving someone, then she would bring us out her leftovers and say, I didn't eat all of this, you can have these leftovers. I didn't finish this wine, y'all can have this wine. And in her mind, she would convince herself she's doing a beautiful human thing. We as black people should not be concerned about the tent of white America right now. That tent is on fire. And they have set that tent on fire. And Minister Malcolm X said it best. When the slave master's house catch a fire, don't go say, Master, our house on fire. Don't say, Master, what should we do? A slave should use common sense and intelligence and pray for a strong wind. So I don't think that we should go inside that tent with Miss Fonda or any other quote-unquote woke white folks. Let them fight each other. It is time that we as black people erect our own tent, furnish that tent, build that tent, and encompass everything around it for true black economic growth and development and black true self-development. So we should not look for benevolent white folks like Miss Fonda to talk about how we all need to come inside that tent and don't push nobody out. They have never truly invited us inside that tent. And when we talk about the economic tent of America, here, we were never even invited to stand outside at the front door of the economic tent of this nation.
I love how you talk about this country. First of all, thank you for admitting that you look at everything through the lens of race. And at least you're coming to terms with your racism.
That's what she did.
I appreciate it. Actually, she didn't mention
race. She really spoke about it.
She didn't mention race at all.
She spoke about walking across that bridge. That bridge is the Edmund Pettus Bridge.
Okay.
During the civil rights movement where black people could not vote, and they sick dogs